and it was funded as a wetland centre, a kind of a wetland education centre, and there was significant public funding, and there was investment by a number of group water schemes in it as well. And in fact, we put in a pipe through this area as a training pipe and distribution network management. The lands here are farmed by what's the centre? The Camp Hill Centre, you know Camp Hill? Waldorf centres or whatever for disability and that there. So it's up the road. So they farm, there's a 60-acre farm here. But this centre was built as a kind of a model and educator around environmental issues and that there. But unfortunately, the collapse came in the economy, and money that had been promised, money that had been expected, didn't come. And it was under the management of the local development association here in the town of Ballybay, and they kind of lost their nerve. They really handed it over then to another agency, Monaghan Enterprise, I think it is, and it's from Monaghan Enterprise then that the Steiner School that was established here by Charlotte and Karen and a few other parents managed to get back in. So we're delighted that they're back in, because at least there's a nature focus, there's an environmental focus, and there's real people back in the centre, because it was very intimidatory coming here for a few years, locked gates and all of that there. But it's a fabulous wetland here. This is the town of Ballybay. Even if you address all the phosphorus issues on the catchment above here, the wastewater treatment plant in this town is still keeping the system eutrophic. It's a lot of phosphorus coming out of that there. So that's one of the goals of the Group Water Scheme, is to address the underfunding of wastewater treatment services in urban situations this year, because you're literally only about 2-3 miles above the source where the scheme abstracts its water. But it's a gorgeous kind of an area. We'll go for a tramp anyways, you just see it for yourselves. This is bush vetch, and this is bee bread. Any of the pea family, they're obviously the pea family. The bumblebees actually love this here. And then there's a few other vetches come after this. We've a common vetch. Hopefully we'll see some of that. And then towards August, we get this beautiful bush vetch, or Pearson or Lochmaratashe Ngeliga, because the Irish names are important as well. And they're, you know, it's not a showy flower, but it's really, really important. And obviously great nitrogen fixers. So a lot of these things here are actually doing the job that bag fertilizer has been used for now. You know, this is what you want in a meadow, in a traditional meadow in this area, these types of plants. It's actually a lovely wetlands here. Now you wouldn't, in the winter when this is in flood, you would not recognize this is all underwater. But partly as a result, during the Great Hunger in Ireland, there was an awful lot of drainage done, arterial drainage done, even in areas like this here. So they were trying to make agricultural land out of places like this here on the edge, you know, which obviously didn't make a lot of sense. So part of the focus now is in restoring these wetlands areas and protecting. You can see there's cattle graze down there, you know, because it'd be a good grass in the summer. When it's dry, it would be good forage for cattle and that there. You can see the swans foraging away over there, and obviously that's where you'd like to see it being left. Yeah, exactly. And there is quite a wide range of biodiversity here, a lot of aquatic plants and flora and fauna, but it has collapsed over the past 20 years. There's the odd representative samples of species, but the range of species that would have been in this area in the 1960s, 1970s even, or early 1980s, would have been phenomenal compared to what's here now. Huh?
Why is that?
Intensification. Humans. The bramble, which is it doesn't look like a whole pile, but it's a fantastic plant for nature in that obviously it's going to flower now shortly. So, and then of course it fruits in August and produces the blackberry, Smaraduha in Gaelic, in Irish, Smaraduha. But part of the good reason about this here is it resists grazing animals and it allows new trees to come up in the landscape. So it's a great addition to a biodiversity area in that it allows new growth to come in with it. But this will be a mass of white flowers now within the next few weeks. And then following that then in the autumn, you can eat off them for months It's lovely, real vitamin C rich. I pick them over a few days and freeze them, and then you have them every week then for the winter. You know, it's free food. Hey! And tasty. This is the stinging nettle, one of the most important plants in any biodiversity plan, and this supports 4 of our species of butterfly. Actually, it's their larval plant, and in addition to that, there the what do you call it? One or two of the butterflies that come in from Europe. But then it's a very nutritious plant, full of goodness. So recently now, and in Ireland traditionally, in the spring, people made soup with this here as the principal, and it's gorgeous soup. Make it in a vegetable soup. It's really lovely, and it was a pick me up. It was a pick me up after the winter. It's full of iron and goodness. And which? Pesto, there you go, nettle pesto. Yeah, there's actually a cookbook called Nyantog, and it's a cookbook of nettles. There are several books written about, and there's one of them called You Daren't Lie Down, and you daren't lie down in them, but they are a fantastic thing. And of course we hate them. We go in and we spray them, we cut them to bits, but they'll just keep coming back. And they're a good sign of rich soil, rich organic soil, because that's what they like. They're a sign here of old houses, where abandoned cottages and that there, you'll see them growing in clumps, and that's because the people in them would have been putting their dunghill outside the house, and very rich soil. So you can see all along there. But it doesn't look like any, and aesthetically, it doesn't look a whole pile, but in terms of biodiversity, that is fantastic. All that's going on in the undergrowth there and within the plants themselves. It's amazing. A few years ago, I collected the seeds from these here. You can collect the seeds in the autumn of the female plant and use them on your porridge all winter. But when you bring in the seed, you put it on newspaper and you'll see thousands of wee critters crawling out of it. It supports a huge number of wee animals. It's fantastic. The common holly, this is the female. And the female is important here because it supports the holly blue butterfly. The holly blue butterfly, which has just finished its flight, but she waits until this is in flower. And that's something I suppose, I'm Bluffer's Guide to Biodiversity. I quit work a few years ago because I fell in love with nature, but I'm no expert, but I've been observing and counting and recording the butterflies that come into my garden since I began the biodiversity. And a few weeks ago, for the first time ever, I saw the holly blue in my garden, and it was because of the flowering female holly. It's that simple. If you provide the habitat, nature will colonize it if it's anywhere in the area. It's that simple. This is, again, this is one we've real problem with. Irish people have a hate-hate relationship with this plant. And yet, again, it's the first real food plant of the queen bee when she arrives, when she comes out. It's don de lion, as the French people will know. Also pied de lit, because it's a diuretic inside. But every part of it, there's the don de lion there on the leaf. But it's all of these florets are individual wee flowerings. So you'll see, I've recorded butterflies, bees, everything on the on this here. But it's very, very hard to change cultural mindsets. And you see a field of these and it's so beautiful, but people just think it's a weed and they want to get rid of it. But it's, hello. What's not to love? Huh? Yeah, so it's come to the end of the first flush of these here, and they're not as much importance now as they were a month ago, because now a lot of other flowers will start to appear. But this, up until now, this was their main food plant. Yeah. And this one is called, in English, it's called silverweed, but in Irish, it's brisclawn. And this here was used by the poor people in Ireland and in Scotland to make a form of a poor quality flour. So they make bread from it, and sometimes a poor quality porridge as well. So brisclawn, silverweed. You see the back of it, why it was called silverweed in English, brisclawn. But it's a very simple yellow flower, but it's a simple plant, but it was so important in the lives of the people, you know? Yeah. So they used roots of plants, they knew plants so well. When the whin, we call it whin, they call it furze in some areas, and And the old saying is that when the wind is in flower, kissing's in season. And of course it's in flower 12 months of the year. It's a lovely plant, and sometimes when it takes off, this beautiful coconutty smell, as you were saying. It's just gorgeous. It's a lovely plant.